Recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this process, an abomination. Legislative malpractice. Final text of this bill came out less than 24 hours ago. We met in committee an hour after it was posted. And now we're here considering a rule that only allows for 1 hour of debate. This bill is within the jurisdiction of 12 different committees. 1 hour is ridiculous. And every minute we're finding out new things that were snuck into the bill. A tax cut for whalers, and now we're learning about a gambling tax. Republican leadership and the White House are jamming this bill down our throats. And for what? We are not on a deadline, no looming crisis. We're here because Donald Trump wants a 4th of July party to celebrate this garbage bill. He wants fireworks and flags and cameras, not for this country, but for himself. So he says, close your ears, close your eyes, and vote for this bill. Honestly, sounds more like a cult than a Congress to me.
There are not a lot of things that J.D. Vance is good at, but one thing that he is superb at is creating scandals and problems for Donald Trump. And that is exactly what he did this morning when his texts were revealed in the most humiliating way for Donald Trump's budget. Something that we didn't think could get more unpopular, but J.D. Vance somehow made it happen. We are going to get into those texts that were revealed from Vance, but before we do, I want to start with what those texts were about. And it's what Hakeem Jeffrey is doing right now, protesting and stalling this bill on the House floor. And we can see that in this clip right here.
It's extraordinary to me that as a result of this one big ugly bill, this all-out assault on health care in this country, millions of people are going to lose coverage, thrown off of health care, set in motion a chain of events where hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, people unable to get the care that they need to live a life of dignity and respect. And that as a result of the all-out Republican assault on health care in the United States of America, people will die. Tens of thousands. Perhaps year after year after year, as a result of the Republican assault on the health care of the American people. I'm sad. I never thought that I'd be on the House floor saying that this is a crime scene. And House Democrats want no part of it. No part of it. It's a crime scene going after the health and the safety and the well-being of the American people. And Mr. Speaker, we want no part of it, which is why we're fighting so hard to stop it.
So, Leader Jeffrey has been protesting for hours on end now, holding the floor, delaying this vote. And although I understand how many might see this and say, I wish we had more opposition, this isn't really going to stop them from passing it at all. One thing that it does do is get in the way of what Donald Trump cares about most, which is bragging about his bill, celebrating his bill, throwing a 4th of July party for his bill. They are standing in the way of that. And also, it's important understanding the limited ability to carry out our opposition, that we have to message against this bill, that it is political suicide essentially for Republicans. And so, the more that people hear about the most unpopular piece of legislation we've seen in modern American history, the better we can perform and not just win back the House and the Senate, but overwhelmingly win back the House and the Senate. And it's not just J.D., as we'll quickly see, who is very upset with Jeffrey right now, but a Republican congressman responded to his speech this morning with some racist remarks that we just have to take a look at first, because they were so weird.
Your response to that, Congressman?
Well, when I listen to Hakeem Jeffries, it drives me bananas. I mean, come on, just talk, man. I know he can talk. I've heard him on the House floor, but this whole fake thing that he does, and this hands, and he does this, like, all right, are you doing sign language? Are you rapping? Are you trying to talk to us? Like, pick a lane and just do it, right? But no, this is nonsense. I mean, again, you have an administration that allowed our country to be invaded. And oh, by the way, the illegal immigration issue is an 80-20 issue, meaning that 80% of Americans support these deportations.
He was rapping. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an undertone there. By the way, this is the same guy, this congressman who said that Zoran Mamdani should be deported and denaturalized. These guys are just weird. I know he's clearly being racist, but it's like weird is the word that comes to mind. Tim Walz was right about these guys. They're just strange. Why do you care how he's speaking? What tone he takes? Why don't you care more about the substance of what he's saying? The millions of Americans who will lose their health care. It's embarrassing. And just as embarrassing as the text that J.D. Vance revealed, yes, he shared his own text. Not that I necessarily think this is true, but how he feels about Jeffrey, and it just completely backfired. J.D. Vance this morning posted, GOP congressman just texted me. I was undecided on the bill, but then I watched Hakeem Jeffrey performance, and now I'm a firm yes. In response, a Twitter user wrote, is this supposed to be a flex? Like, your bill sucked, but I hate the other guy so much I voted for it. We're celebrating this. Another user responded, I'll take things that never happened for $500. Yeah. Does Vance not realize that this is just embarrassing? So, what are the options here? That the bill is so bad. We obviously know Republicans hate it, but the only reason they want to pass it is to own the libs. So that's not really, praising the legislative accomplishment that is the worst budget in American history. Oh, or this is fake, which it probably is. Let's be real. I don't think J.D. Vance got that text and he's just making stuff up. And in the best framing and like the idealized world for J.D. Vance, he is getting Republicans to sign on to the signature piece of legislation of his administration under Donald Trump only because they don't like Hockey Jeffrey. Like J.D. Vance is trying to praise and prop up this bill, and in his greatest world, in his greatest fantasy, it's only because Republicans don't like Democrats. But also, you're saying that you dislike Hockey Jeffrey so much, you're willing to steal health care away from your constituents, from millions of Americans. You're willing to take away SNAP benefits, explode the debt, the deficit. Like, that's what you're saying. That's what Republicans are admitting to, that their politics is so petty. That's what they're focused on. That's just embarrassing. JD has embarrassed himself once again. He should really just put down the phone and the microphone and the vice presidency just like all the time. And AOC was ripping into this idiotic petty politics in this clip right here.
Trump had issued some statements throughout this process saying and urging, insisting that this bill does not cut Medicaid. He's also said some things, he says he doesn't think I'm too much of a smart person. And I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't take a smart person to know if you're being lied to. President Trump, you're either being lied to or you are lying to the American people. Because this bill represents, in the text of this bill, the largest and greatest loss of health care in American history. 17 million Americans will lose their health care on this bill, not undocumented people, not quote unquote the disgusting term illegal, but 17 million Americans will have their health care cut from this bill. On this point of tax on tips, as one of the only people in this body who has lived off of tips, I want to tell you a little bit about the scam of that text, a little bit of the fine print there. The cap on that is $25,000. while you're jacking up taxes on people who make less than $50,000 across the United States, while taking away their SNAP, while taking away their Medicaid, while kicking them off of the ACA and their health care extensions. So if you're at home and you're living off tips, you do the math. Is that worth it to you? Losing all your health care, not able to feed your babies, not being able to put a diaper on their bottom in exchange for what? This bill is a deal with the devil. It explodes our national debt. It militarizes our entire economy, and it strips away health care and basic dignity of the American people. For what? To give Elon Musk a tax break and billionaires the greedy taking of our nation. We cannot stand for it, and we will not support it. You should be ashamed.
These people should be ashamed of themselves. It really is just sad. That's the thing here. We talked about this with Congresswoman Lauren Underwood yesterday. It's just embarrassing how these Republicans behave, how they act, what they're carrying out their agenda for, who they're carrying out their agenda for. It's sad. It really is. And especially in the context of why they're actually trying to ram this budget through right now. Again, Donald Trump is calling it a one big, I'm not even going to say beautiful bill, because it crams together all aspects of the reconciliation process into this one piece of legislation, because he knew that if Republicans had to take multiple votes on it, it would fail because it's so unpopular. But why is he ramming it through right now? What's the deadline? What is the wall Donald Trump is up against? It's PR. This is a PR campaign somehow. Jim McGovern detailed all of it right here.
Mr. Speaker, this process, an abomination. Legislative malpractice. Final text of this bill came out less than 24 hours ago. We met in committee an hour after it was posted. And now we're here considering a rule that only allows for 1 hour of debate. This bill is within the jurisdiction of 12 different committees. 1 hour is ridiculous. And every minute we're finding out new things that were snuck into the bill. A tax cut for whalers, and now we're learning about a gambling tax. Republican leadership and the White House are jamming this bill down our throats. And for what? We are not on a deadline, no looming crisis. We're here because Donald Trump wants a 4th of July party to celebrate this garbage bill. He wants fireworks and flags and cameras, not for this country, but for himself. So he says, close your ears, close your eyes, and vote for this bill. Honestly, sounds more like a cult than a Congress to me. Some Republicans promised their voters no cuts to Medicaid, no new debt. Now they're flipping faster than pancakes at a campaign breakfast. The House passed it hoping the Senate would kill it. The Senate passed it hoping the House would grow a spine. Everyone is playing a game of legislative chicken, voting for a bad bill and thinking the other chamber will be the one to fix it. This is nuts. And Trump says, have fun and vote yay. Have fun gutting Medicaid? Vote yay on taking away food from poor families? Are you serious? This bill is catastrophic. It is not policy, it is punishment. Let's talk facts. It slashes Medicaid, cuts Medicare, dismantles the ACA. It shutters rural hospitals, closes nursing homes, wipes out health centers. It takes food off kitchen tables, throws clean energy workers out of jobs, spikes utility bills. And why? So billionaires and oil companies can cash in. Big oil gets handouts, billionaires get tax breaks, working families get scraps, if that. Jeff Bezos just had a $50 million wedding in Venice, and they want to give him another tax break. Meanwhile, families making under $50,000 a year, well, they get less than $1 a day in tax cuts. You can't even buy a cup of coffee with that. And the cost, over $3 trillion added to the debt and a $5 trillion debt ceiling raise, brought to you by the very people who won't shut up about so-called fiscal responsibility. This isn't tax reform to relieve the middle and working class. It is a robbery that will result in the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich our country has ever seen. So let's not lie to the American people. This is about taking from the most vulnerable to pay off the already powerful. It is about pleasing one man who's holding this Congress hostage with primary threats and social media tantrums. This bill is cruel, it is cowardly, it is a betrayal of everything this country is supposed to stand for. I reserve my time.
Donald Trump is so upset that his birthday parade was such a failure that now he is having to throw himself a 4th of July party for legislation that the overwhelming majority of Americans hate, that Republicans in Congress are terrified of, that he doesn't even understand. We just covered that in a video. Donald Trump is reportedly forgetting what's in this bill, and he doesn't know what's in this bill. I don't think that's a good sign for the bill. Is this all a show? A bad one at that? What are the fireworks going to spell out? 18 million people off their health care. What are you praising in this? Who wants this? I still don't know. I guess the billionaires in this country. That's it. That's why we gotta call this out. That's the message we gotta bring. We're certainly going to be on this show. Thanks for watching this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.